1920. There is a lot of business to be made from illegal speakeasies, illegal distilleries, where the prohibition is in full effect. This is a fascinating era. Personally, I'm really excited about the theme always when I see a game with this theme, where players are taking the roles of potential kingpins that they want to establish a fortune. They want to develop and distill and sell liquor, different types of spirits, whiskey, rum, gin, and wine to the different distilleries. Take them, make them with the correct ingredients, distribute them throughout their network, and then gain a lot of money out of it, of course. This is a fascinating game in a compact box. It comes from a company which I evolved to love and to enjoy a lot on what they do. They're making very, very compact games with a lot of gameplay, full with components, with very nice production. I'm talking about the previous games like Micro Architects and Micro Cosmos and Micro City. Fantastic games that bring a different perspective into the Eurogame genre with the Eurogame mechanics, and typically a lot of spins, a lot of nice production ticks and sparks, and this is no exception to it. I have the opportunity to play and present to you Micro Moonshine, which is the new installment in their series. It is a worker placement game with different types of workers where you fulfill contracts, you establish your empire as a kingpin in the 1920s, trying to distill different types of spirits, distribute them, fulfill contracts, recruit the correct type of crew members to help you in your pursuing your endeavors and making a fortune out of it, and then essentially out of the course of 4 rounds with 6 turns in each, for a total of 24 turns per player, to have the most victory points at the end of the game from various sources. This is an interesting game that's hitting GameFound soon. I'm going to add a link in the description of the video so you can follow up about and find out more about the launch and the campaign itself. Typically they're unlocking a lot of more cool things, additional mini expansions and component upgrades. So what you see in front of you here is a pure prototype, so keep that in mind. Yet it's very nice, very beautifully looking. The art on the cards, it's fantastic. I really enjoyed the art. It reminded me in some cases, I don't know, Grand Theft Auto 1920s, if there was a game like that. Cool idea, by the way. The whole aesthetics and the presence on the table is really, really nice. But above all, I think the game is a really interesting game because it has a lot of cool things that are going on, a lot of options, a lot of selection from the different use of the cards that you can do. You can play them for all sorts of different things. They have different actions on the cards. You need to spend cards, so you dispose them and you lose them in a way. If you want to use the action of allocation of one of the 8 buildings, you have to take a very close look on what your opponents are doing, typically, and make sure that you're not outsmart down the process. So a very elegant design, cool ideas, a lot of cool things to discover, and a fun gameplay above all. So join me at the table. I'll show you how the game works in practice. I'm going to add the timestamp in the description of the video so you can jump directly either to the final section of this video where I'm going to put my full opinion and review about my impressions from the sessions I had with the game so far, or different parts of the explanatory video like how the game works, the components, how you score in the game, and so on. And of course explain the rules in between. So join me at the table. I'll show you how the game plays and how the rules of the game work in practice, and come back at the end of this video for a final wrap-up. During the Prohibition era, the United States, which spanned from 1920 to 1933, bootleggers became notorious for their illicit production of various alcoholic beverages. Moonshine, a homemade and often potent form of whiskey distilled illegally, was one of the most iconic products of this underground industry. Bootleggers crafted moonshine in hidden stills, typically located in remote rural areas or concealed within urban basements, evading this way the watchful eyes of law enforcement. They also produced other drinks, such as bathtub gin, a low-quality and often unsafe gin made in makeshift distilleries, of course underground. These bootleggers operated in a shadowy world of speakeasies and secret distribution of networks, catering to the demands of a populace's thirst for forbidden fruit. In Micro Moonshine, players take the role of the bootleggers during Prohibition. You hire a shady workforce, secure the right ingredients, distill alcohol and deliver it to the speakeasies to earn money. The competition is vicious, so if you want to win, you should keep an eye on what your opponents are doing and swiftly go for the most lucrative contracts overall. Welcome to this video of delivering to you the rules and the how to play of Micro Moonshine. This is the latest game from Destroy Games, a company that really strives to produce compact but yet very interesting from gameplay point of view games, and this is no exception. I really enjoyed their previous games like Micro Architects and Micro Cosmos. So let's see what we have here in this prototype. Keep in mind that everything you see in front of you is still a prototype. I have done a separate and full and detailed unboxing video of this prototype so you can focus more on the components. So here we're just going to go through the list of the components to list what's inside this prototype. I'm sure more things are going to be unlocked during the crowdfunding campaign page, but let's focus on what we have in front of us. We have 8 building tiles. These are these tiles here. They have very nice art. We have 8 locations in total. They have 2 sides. The colored one, which can be used once from a player. So when the first player in a round comes and visits a location tile, they use this colored side. Once they've done that, they flip it to the black and white side, and all other players have to use this one if they want to choose to use this location, with some extra cost typically. We have 8 in total. We have the barrel house for whiskey, the barrel house for wine, the barrel house for rum, and the barrel house for gin. And I've put across on top of them the respective barrels and bottles from each of those spirits. Okay, so these are productive tiles which produce, once you give the corresponding materials, ingredients, the crude barrel, okay, before it's been bottled and pushed for the completion of various contracts. In the bottom we have 4 additional locations. We have the black market where we can get moonshine. This is a moonshine, by the way. Those blue bottles are there. You have the bottling plant where you are paying money and delivering the barrels to get the respective bottled version. You have the street market and you have docks. Okay, this is not a specific order. The setup that you see in front of you is just made according to the rule book. It's just for convenience. You can mix and match. Okay, there's no need to put on top row the productive tiles, on the bottom the rest. It doesn't matter. It's up to your convenience. So besides that, we have a time track board which is on the top over there. This one. It has all around it a victory point track where players track their victory points. And also there is in the middle of this board 2 different tracks. We have one for the rounds. Okay, so you get this track and you place it on round number 1, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds to play the game, and in each round each and every player is going to get 6 turns, one after the other. Okay, so to indicate which turn we are within the round, we have this marker on top. So if we are in the first turn on the first round, it will be like that. If we are in the 5th turn of the first round, will be somehow like that. Okay, there is also a reminder for the scoring at the end of the game, as you can see over there, but the main purpose of this board is to track the turn, the rounds, and the victory points of the players. We have the respective tokens. You've seen the track and the turn token and the round token. We have a first player token which you don't see in front of you now. It's going to be included in the game. I got an additional track, obviously. We have 40 ingredient cards. These are these cards here that you see. There's a deck of those cards with the different ingredients. Okay, we place them there, and we're going to explain how this is done during setup. But just for you to know, there are 4 different types of ingredients. You have fruit, you have grain, you have water, and alcohol, and you have sugar. Okay, so these are the different types of ingredients that you have. You have a combination of those throughout the deck, and you can use them in order to produce and distill the various types of spirits that we're going, of course, to use and deliver for our contracts. Okay, again, this is water, this is not alcohol. That was I was just checking. You produce alcohol by distilling it. Okay, so this is water, sugar, grain, and fruit. Okay, one of each. There is a market over there with offering of ingredients. Now, the next thing that we have is we have the clean money tokens. These are these tokens you see, and some contracts start with some clean money on top of them. We have a selection of various clean money tokens. These are worth victory points at the end of the game. Every 2 of those is 1 victory point, so be aware. The game has a very interesting idea of having clean money. Once you launder money, of course it's clean, and you also have dirty money, which is this icon here. You can find it also in the ingredients with the gray. So this is 2 dirty money, and this is 1 clean money. Okay, you can always pay with clean money when money is needed, but you should make an effort to keep them for the end because they're victory points, while any cards with ingredients and dirty money that you have on them, they're not worth points, the dirty money. Next thing that we have is we have the respective contract cards. Okay, there are 3 levels of cards. I'm just going to grab one to show you. I'm going to explain the anatomy of the contract cards. Okay, they have 2 sides, the black and white, similarly with the locations, and the color one. We're going to explain the anatomy later on, but for the moment check that this is level 3. Okay, so there are 2 of level 3, 2 of level 2, and 2 of level 1 in each round. Okay, so this is how you set up the game. These depict the different requirements that you need to deliver to these speakeasies. Essentially, these are contracts for the players to deliver and gain victory points. We also have a deck of bootlegger cards, which are essentially your crew. Okay, you'll use them for their various actions or for delivering booze to the distillery. Okay, so I've shown the art during the detailed unboxing video that I've done, just to show you that they're really nice, illustrated. They have very different actions, and the source of the game is using those in a timely manner correctly. Okay, because you need to use them to visit the different locations also. But if you do it with a specific matching one, you do it for free. More on that later. We have 36 bottles, okay, 6 for wine, 6 for rum, 6 for gin, and 6 for whiskey on the top, and below them I've placed the respective barrels, again for the 4 different types of booze. We also have 12 moonshine bottles. We have 29 in total clean dollar tokens, 8 clear dollar tokens of 5 times, and we have the 4 scoring markers that they are used for the scoring victory points there. The game is going to come with player aids, 1 for each player, and also you can see here there is a deck for the Micro Moonshine solo mode, where you can play the game purely in a solo mode and enjoy it with 1 player. The last thing that I want to mention is this again is prototype, so keep that in mind. Now, once we've done that, let's move to the setup. Game setup. The first thing that we do is we place the time track board on the table, and we place the turn and track token at the start of each respective track to indicate their position. Each player places their scoring marker on the 0 VP space on the scoring track over here, and they're going to be accumulating victory points and gathering as many as possible in order to win the game. The next step is to create a city display of all building tiles on the table with the A side face up. By A side I mean the colored side that you see here. Okay, so again, this is a colored side that you see, and this is the black and white side, which is done after it's used once. For the round it's flipped on the black and white side. We create a display conveniently, however it makes more sense for the players, and we place the 8 building tiles with the colored side on the center of the playing area. Next, we separate the contract cards by level. So this is level 1, you can see it here, level 1, this is level 2, and this is level 3. Once we've done that, separating it by level, we shuffle each deck and we place it face up with the A side, the colored side with the higher VP values, above the city, and reveal one more card from each deck. Then we place 2 clean dollar tokens on each level 1 card, contract card, and 1 clean dollar token on each level 2 contract. So you see, level 1, this is the deck, face up, we reveal one more, so we have 2 visible, and they should get 2 clean dollar tokens, each of those on top of them. For level 2, we again have the deck face up, we reveal one more, and we place 1 clean dollar on them, and then we have the level 3 contracts with which they get no clean dollar tokens. Keep in mind that these cards have 2 sides, okay? The one with the lower value of victory points in black and white, and the one with the color one which has the 2 values. In the high star shape it shows 20, because if you fulfill it during this side, once it's with this side, you get 20 victory points. If you fulfill it later around, it's going to be flipped on the back side and it's going to give you less victory points. Okay, more on that later, but for the purpose of setup, this is how we set up the contract cards. The next step is to create a supply with all barrels, bottles, and clean money next to the city. Okay, you place them nearby in any way it makes more sense to you, so that you can easily access them during the course of the game. We shuffle the ingredient cards and we reveal a total number of 7 cards to display to create the market. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in total. These are the ingredient cards that they make up the market. Then we shuffle the crew cards, this deck over here. We create a face down deck and we place it close to the time track board for easy access. Each player takes a player aid, $1 token, and draws 5 ingredient cards from their deck to form their initial hand. If there are 3 players, each player apart from the first player takes 1 additional dollar token, and the last player to watch a gangster movie becomes the first player, or choose randomly, and takes the first player token to start the game. The goal of the game. The game is played over a course of 4 rounds consisting of 6 turns each. The round starts with players drafting crew cards. On their turn, player may activate actions on building tiles, collect and spend resources from cards, and fulfill various contracts. Some actions require the player to have the right crew in their player area or even discard it to perform the action. Players gain victory points during the game, and there is a final scoring phase at the end. The player with the most victory points becomes the most successful and notorious bootlegger and wins the game. Now let's start with describing some of the key concepts of the game. First of all, we start with money and ingredients. There is a clean and dirty money in the game, as you've already seen. We have the clean money, which are these markers over here, and have green dollar bills. They're representing dollar tokens that can be spent also instead of dirty money. Dirty money can be found on crew cards and on contract cards as a cost. The dirty money that you can use is represented by icons on ingredient cards like these ones in front of you, and whenever you have to spend dirty money, you simply discard the required amount of ingredient cards, any excess of course is lost, or pay with clean money instead. You can mix both types of currency if needed, as a last resort. There are 4 types of ingredients. We have water, grain, fruit, and sugar. And you can see the respective icons at the bottom of the ingredient card. Most importantly, you have a limit of 7 ingredient cards for your hand. You can gain more than 7 during your turn, but when you must immediately discard down to the hand limit of 7. The anatomy of the card is very simple. It has an illustration of the depicted ingredient. It has the icon of the ingredient at the bottom, and on the top it has the dirty money icon, or in this case icons too. So there you have it. These are all you need to know about money and ingredients in the game. Now, then we have the crew cards. Crew cards are required to play actions on the buildings. However, they also have their own special actions or passive effects that you can use during your turn. The back of each of those cards looks like that, and it depicts a bootlegger, a crucial crew member for fulfilling the contracts. Whenever a card's text directly contradicts any rules, the card takes precedence. You can never have more than 4 crew cards in your play area, and the anatomy of the cards is very simple. Some of them have an icon like this one. There are 3 different types of crew members, and if you're using the matching icon on the matching location, then you don't have to discard the card when you play it for accessing the location's action. You take it back. But when it doesn't match or it doesn't have any icon, then you have to discard it. More on that later. Then we also have the cost on the right side. Here are 2 dirty money, here's 1 clean money, and here's 1 dirty money. Here you can only pay with clean money. Here you can pay either with dirty or clean money, but it's advisable to do with dirty money because it's worth less, of course. Here's the name, and below there is the action. Here it says action, action, and here it says passive. Essentially, this is the effect of the card. A variety of crew members offers a variety of cards, and using them at the correct time or giving you passive abilities over all the course of the game can make a whole difference. Then we have the contracts. Once per turn you can fulfill one of the displayed contracts on the center of the table if you have the required alcohol bottled ingredients, dirty money and or a bootlegger, depending on the contract. Each contract has 2 different demands, and you can choose which one you want to deliver, either the one on the left or the one on the right. Then you gain victory points, mark them on the scoring track around the center board where you have the victory point track, and place the card in your play area. A quick anatomy on the contract cards, you can see them. Here it says the level. This is level 1 card, this is level 3. We have 3 levels, level 1, level 2 and level 3 contracts. You have the requirements. For example, if I want to fulfill this contract, I can either give 1 1 bottle of rum or 1 bottle of whiskey. Here, if I want to fulfill this contract, I have to give those 3 bottled spirits or those 3 bottled spirits, in addition to what I just described. Here, for example, for the first contract, if I give either a gin or a whiskey, I also have to give 1 dirty money and or 1 bootlegger, meaning discard 1 bootlegger. Okay. Here I have to give those or those, and in addition give 1 dirty money and 1 bootlegger. Bootleggers have this icon, they have the wheel, the driving wheel below the icon and the mask for driving, fitting to the era. Okay, and this is one of the 3 types of bootleggers you can find. Actually, every single card you have on the back, it has the bootlegger icon, so you can use it face down to fulfill this requirement. You can have a variety of cards, and you see here it shows from the colored side, this contract shows that if you fulfill this side you're going to get 6, or this side 6 victory points. Okay, for the more difficult and more demanding contracts of level 3 you will get 20 points respectively, no matter if you fulfill this side or that side. The small number indicates that after the round passes, more on that later, these cards are going to be flipped on the black and white side, meaning that they're going to reward you the lesser number of points because you had more time to prepare for it. In this case 5 and 17, still enough, but less than before by giving the same requirements. Then we have the city buildings. A total of 8 city buildings are included in the game, and they're double-sided. Each building is double-sided and has an action depicted. Moreover, some of them also have a type of icon, same as you can find on the crew cards, which allows you to save cards when taking the action instead of discarding them. You see, this one, that one, the financier here, the bootlegger here, and here, can be used in order to save the card. When the requirement of a cost says any barrel or any bottle, then that can be either wine, rum, gin or whiskey, but not moonshine. The anatomy of the tiles is very simple. If they have a type they belong to, it shows on the top left side of the tile. Here's the name: docks, street market, barrel house rum, etc. Here are the actions that you have. Okay, in this case we're going to go through the actions, but it's described in the bottom part. You can have either a single one or a selection of different actions to select from, depending on, for example, how much dirty money you are willing to spend in order to get bottled spirits, and so on. So these are the 8 building tiles. Round structure. Each round consists of 3 phases. First we have the drafting phase, then second we have the action phase, and third we have the cleanup phase. Now let's go through each of those phases with a couple of words to describe what happens in each of those respectively. Drafting phase. During the drafting phase, each player draws from the deck 4 crew cards. You now may look at them and decide to hire one crew member, meaning keep 1 card, where you can either keep the card on its B side in your play area, paying the cost if applicable, or flip it to the A side and keep it as a bootlegger. So let's say I decide that I'm going to want to take Floyd Sparks because of the nice action they provide. I need to pay the cost. I keep it in front of me, I pay the cost, okay, and I keep it face up in front of my play area. After you choose your card, you pass the remaining cards face down to the player on your left. And you repeat the whole process. You receive 3 more cards from the player on your right, and you complete the same process, again picking up 1 card, either for the active side or the bootlegger side, placing it in front of you, okay, and then giving them to the next, doing so frequently until you will have 4 cards, depending if you paid for them face up, if you didn't pay for them face down as a bootlegger, and each player they're going to have 4 cards. If there are any remaining crew cards in your hand at the end of this phase, for some reason, you discard them. Normally, you'll have to end up your turn with 4 crew cards. Then we have the action phase. During your turn, you have to perform one of the 3 possible actions. 1, either a market action, 2, a city action, or 3, a crew action. Let's see each of these options separately. Let's say you decided to make a market action. Taking a market action means from the offer you may take either 2 different ingredients, for example, a water and a grain, or all the ingredients of 1 type, for example, all 2 grain, or I could take all 2 water, or 3 or 4, depending on how many they are face up. You select 1 type and you take all the cards on the offer from that type, or instead of that you select any 2 that you want to take into your hand. Keep in mind the hand limit, because after you finish that action you must discard ingredient cards until you have no more than 7. That's called the market action. Another option you have in your turn is not to take a market action, but to take a city action. You discard one of your crew cards that you have for the round. You always have 4 crew cards for the round, okay? And once you discard one of your, you have 4 new cards received. You may have more with passive ability from previous rounds, okay? So you discard one of your crew cards and activate one of the 8 buildings that you have in the city. This is very simple. Some buildings let you choose one of the depicted actions. Others may offer more actions. You pay the cost and you receive the rewards. You discard your crew card. Let's say I want to discard a crew card. I want to do the dogs action. I will discard a crew card, okay? And I will remove it and I will take the action of the selected city building. If you have in your play area the crew card with the same type as the activated, building, this is not the case here, but let's say I want to take the bottling plant. So if I have in my play area a card with the same, no, that's not this one, sorry. Yeah, this one. So if I have in my play area a card with the same type icon as the one indicated on the building, then you don't have to discard the card. You leave it in your play area, okay? You keep it. If you are the first player to select this building, you're going to perform the action or the options associated with it, and then you're going to flip it face down. So typically it has additional cost, or it's more difficult to perform for the others to follow within the same round after you. You flip it, and you can activate a building only once per turn. Okay, the others can activate it, but they have to do it from the gray side, the B side. That's about it. It's very simple. Okay, you can still perform by discarding a crew card any of the city actions as long as you haven't performed it before, again in the same round, right? If you match the icon, you don't have to discard the card. I'm going to go through what these locations do at the later part of this video, but for the moment it's as simple as that. So this is how you perform the city action. The third option that you can have in your turn, instead of taking a market action or a city action, you can take a crew action. You activate one of the actions on your crew cards, you flip it to A side, bootlegger side, meaning let's say I want to activate this one, I'm going to flip it to the bootlegger side. Okay, right? For me to do so, it has to say action, so this is a card which says action. Okay, so it is an action, it gives me the possibility for an action. You may not flip the card without resolving the action, and this does not apply for crew cards with passive effects like this one. It says passive, as you can see. These are active as long as the card is face up in your play area. The passive effect may trigger even if crew cards is discarded for the action that triggers it. For example, you may gain additional money for a contract according to the card and use it at the same time for the delivery. Additionally, as a free action, at any time during your turn, you may fulfill one contract, paying, delivering the required resources and discarding a bootlegger card if needed. Okay, so this is done regardless if you do the crew action, the city action, or the market action. This is a general additional thing that you can do, fulfill one contract. But the third option, crew action, is very simple. You just perform the depicted action on the crew card. So very simple. If you're fulfilling a contract during your turn, you gain any dollar tokens that are on a chosen contract. For example, if I fulfill this one, I'm going to gain the $2 clean dollar tokens that they are on it. Putting it in my play area. I take the chosen contract and place it next to me, next to my other belongings in my play area. But I only take this money after I have paid for the card, meaning in this case I have to either give a rum or a whiskey and one dirty money or one bootlegger. Once I've done that, then I will pick up the card, place it next to me, and also gain any clean dollar bills that they are on the card itself. Again, from setup and from next rounds, you'll see that for level 1 it has $2 bills, level 2 have $1 bill, and level 3 have 0. Remember that each player, once they have taken their turn and it's again the first player, it's time to play, then we move the turn marker on the time track respectively, so that we can know that we're taking the second turn. Okay, and the third turn all the way to the 6th turn, and then we conclude our round. Again, fulfilling contracts means giving the bottles of the depicted order, either the left side or the right side of the card, giving dirty money and or bootleggers as depicted on the card, gaining the victory points of the card, marking it on the central board, and then gaining the card and placing next to your play area. After we finish with the action phase, we move to the third and last phase of the round, which is the cleanup phase. We skip that if it is the fourth and last round, of course. In the cleanup phase, after each player has taken 6 turns, we do the following. First, we discard all contracts on the B side, meaning the black and white side. Then we flip all remaining contracts in the bottom row to the B side, meaning this one, and this one are going to be flipped to the black and white side. I'm just going to do it only for this card, for the sake of the example. Okay, so they show now the B number the B letter here, and the background is black and white, and also they provide less victory points, as you can see. Then we refill the contract offer, bottom row, from the respective decks, and clean up dollars and add up dollars to the contracts. If there are level 1 cards, we add $2. If there is level 2 cards, we add $1. If it's level 3, we add no dollars. And once we've done that, we flip all we would have used various city buildings. We're going to flip them back to the colored side, the face up side, okay, for the next round. We're going to discard all the ingredients that they are here in the offer and create a fresh offer of 7 cards. Then each player draws 1 ingredient card to their hand. Remember, we have a limit of 7 ingredient cards to our hand. Each player is going to draw 1 during the cleanup phase. Then each player may keep 1 crew card without paying any additional cost and has to discard the rest. We reshuffle all crew cards, and then we pass the first player token to the next player to the left. Then we proceed with the next round. Final scoring. After 4 rounds, we proceed to the final scoring. We score victory points for the player who completed the most contracts than any other players, scores additionally 2 victory points. And you can see that here. Then players with the most completed contracts in each level score 2 victory points. For level 1 contracts, 2 victory points. For level 2 contracts, 2 victory points. And for level 3 contracts, whoever has the most, 2 victory points. Keep in mind the ties are friendly, meaning that all of the tied players gain the 2 victory points in this case. Then every 2 clean dollars that you have remaining in your possession, they give you 1 victory point, as indicated here on the reminder on the scoring track. Each bottle remaining in your play area is worth 2 victory points, and each barrel remaining to your play area is worth, each bottle, as you see here, worth 2 victory points, and each barrel is worth 1 victory point respectively. The player with the most victory points wins the game, and in case of a tie, the tiebreakers are in order: the number of completed contracts, clean money, and if there's still a tie, the players share the victory. Let me show you a quick appendix on the different icons in the game. We have victory points, clean money, dirty money, the bootlegger icon, one of the 3 types, the financier, the second one, and the moonshiner, the third one. And these are the ingredients we have on the cards. From left to right we have fruit, wheat, water, and sugar. And then we have these icons which stand respectively for wine barrel and wine bottle, rum barrel and rum bottle, gin barrel and gin bottle, whiskey barrel and whiskey bottle. This is the moonshine. This means any barrel, meaning any bottle, not moonshined, any barrel and bottle, okay? Any barrel or bottle, not moonshine, any number of barrels. And these are the icons you'll find on the different locations, cards, crew members, etc. Now, let's see what the different building tiles do. First of all, we have the 4 barrel house tiles: barrel house whiskey, barrel house wine, barrel house rum, and barrel house gin. These are very similar. You pay the depicted ingredients on the left and you discard them, meaning to the discard pile, and you gain the barrel depicted of the associated spirit. For example, in this case, I would give 1 fruit, 1 sugar, and 1 water to gain 1 barrel of gin, meaning one of this. This is a barrel, this is a bottle. This is how these tiles work. Now, any of those, if you flip them face down, you will see that they have the same iconography, they require the same ingredients, but in addition to that, from the B side, the actions require paying 1 additional dollar, dirty money. So if you're the first player to do it, you're going to pay 2 grain and 1 water to gain 1 whiskey. But if you are following that, your second player to do this action on the tile during the round, you have to pay 1 dirty money also. The same applies for the flip side of the barrel house ram and the barrel house gin respectively. Now let's move to the black market over here. For the black market, you choose one of the 4 columns. You can either return 1 whiskey barrel or bottle and 1 rum barrel or bottle to receive 4 moonshine bottles, 1 wine barrel and bottle and 1 gin barrel and bottle to receive again 4 moonshine, or return 1 wine and barrel or wine barrel or bottle and gin barrel and bottle, one of those 2, okay, and 1 sugar to receive 2 moonshine bottles. And the last option, this one over here, is very simple. You can either return any barrel or bottle to and pay for 5 dirty money dollars to gain 2 moonshine bottles respectively. Right, now let's see what happens from the B side. Once this has been used for the first time, every other player to use it, they have in addition to pay 1 additional dirty dollar. You see, it's the same process, but you have to pay 1 additional dollar, which you didn't have to do from the A side. Also, no matter if you're doing it on the flip side or the normal side, as you can see, there is an icon here. That means that if you have a moonshiner in your crew with this icon, you don't have to discard the crew card to use this tile. Very, very efficient to do so. Then we have the bottling plant. You choose one of the 3 options again. You pay $1 dirty money and any barrel to receive 1 bottle of the same type as the used barrel. Or you can pay $3 and any 2 barrels to receive 2 bottles of the same spirit as the barrels. Or you can pay $5 and any number of barrels to receive the same amount of bottle of the same type as the used barrels. Now the B side has only the first 2 options with additional dollar cost for each action, as you can see. Okay. If you have again a moonshiner here with this icon in your crew, you don't have to discard the crew card when you take this action. Now let's move to the street market. The A side has 3 rows, as you can see. You sell, discard from your hand any number of ingredients and gain 1 clean dollar for each fruit, wheat and sugar, and 2 clean dollars for each water. And for once, you can give 1 of each of the types, so 1 sugar, 1 fruit, 1 water and 1 grain, wheat, I should say, to receive 1 bottle of moonshine. Okay. The B side, the black and white one, sell, discard from your hand any number of ingredients, gaining 1 clean dollar for each card. And if you have a financier in your crew, no matter if it is a B side or an A side again, you do not have to discard a crew card. The last tile to explain are the docks. Very simple. When you take this action, you draw 4 ingredients from the deck and you gain 1 worker card from the deck A side up. The B side, it has only the second option to draw 4 ingredients from the deck. Here you do both, okay, that's why it has a plus. Likewise, because it has the financier, if you have a financier in your crew, same like with the street market, you don't have to discard the crew card from your hand. So there you have it. This is everything you need to know about how to play Micro Moonshine. A very well crafted, fast played with a great flow worker placement game with nice theme and nice components. So let's go right back up for my final opinion and wrap up about my impressions from the plays I had from the game so far. Right, so there are a lot of things to like in this game, and I personally find myself liking more and more the designs that they're putting out, and this is the latest one, Micro Moonshine. I really enjoy the worker placement genre, and I always like my worker placement games to have like a twist or some kind of spark or something different than just placing workers somewhere and doing something. Here you're achieving this because you're selecting the action either on one of the 8 buildings that you see in front of you, and everybody has access to them. By the way, first come, better served, so you get the better version of the action if you go first. I really like this mechanic. Or you can play the cards for the actions most of them have on them. And there are some powerful actions that you can use, and when you time them correctly, they will help you with getting your engine flowing and giving you more productivity. All of this is done with the aim in your back of your mind is the contracts. You have to go for the nice contracts, so you need to have bottled version of the barrels that you produce from the 4 different types of spirits. You also have moonshine, you have whiskey, you have rum, you have wine, and you have gin, yeah, and sell them, fulfill the contracts so that you can gain the most victory points out of it. I found the use of the cards extremely interesting. I found the rush and the need to be careful to go to a spot sooner than your opponents rather than later in the round very intriguing and interesting, because sometimes you don't have the extra dirty dollar token to spend to do the action, which typically demands if you go to do it after someone else, because the first one to do the action, as you have seen, they flip the tile from the B side, which typically has more cost or is more difficult to in terms of spending to fulfill. Not undoable, but more difficult. So you want to save those extra expenses and you want to go there first, but you also want to make sure you recruit the right ingredients. I really like the simple way that I've seen also before some in other games, but I really enjoy how to select ingredients from the open market. You either take 2 different ingredients or all of the same type of the display out of a display of 7 ingredients. And this could be also another point for you know, competing with the other players, because if you see, like, I don't know, maybe you don't care about I don't know, 4 sugar or 5 fruit, but if you see them in the market, of course it's an opportunity to grab them. You only have a limit of 7, but maybe you can use them to distill them because they're missing from your you know, recipes, in order to make the action and convert them to barrels of their respective spirit. Conversion, resource management, hidden economy under it, nice abilities, nice actions, multi-use cards, you know, racing, indirect racing, not direct racing, to go for the buildings faster than your opponents, the correct buildings, the ones that you want for the round. You cannot go to everything, of course, and nice interesting scoring of victory points from the contracts. Actually, the ingredients themselves have also multi-use purpose as a cards, because they can use as dirty money, and I really like the idea of having dirty money and clean dollar money tokens, because you have to there is the laundry of the money that happens, and it was a thing, of course, because it's illegal money and you have to convert it to legal money, and this is also important. So all of this really melts nicely together. There are 3 different types of contracts: level 1, level 2, level 3. The more easy ones, level 1, give you also extra clean dollar bills. The more difficult ones, they give you no bills, level 3, but they give you victory points, many victory points. You also gain 2 victory points if you have the most from each of the category, level 1, level 2, level 3, and overall total amount of contracts. And all these little things, again, they melt nicely together. They give a very exciting, interesting, and smooth and hassle-free gameplay experience, which lets you enjoy a game that typically you would see with a big box with a lot of components. You know, still you have a lot of components, but you know, a bigger box with a more expensive box with more footprint, I should say, on the table. But you get the same experience, if not better, from this compact little box, which also offers a solo, by the way. And I'm sure, as always, they're going to unlock a ton of different things during the crowdfunding campaign page, which I'm sure it's going to be successful like the ones before that, because they deserve it and they have fantastic games, and that I expect that it will be well appreciated from everyone out there in the same way. So hope you enjoyed this video. Hope I gave you a very nice understanding of how the game plays. Hope I managed to pass to you my experiences with the game and my overall feeling, which is very positive. Until next time, many thanks for watching, and don't stop playing board games.